Dear participants, we'll start the last session of this FTP program, that is recent advances and real-time applications in machine learning in artificial intelligence. Let me start the session. I'll be taking the session, that is research areas in machine learning and deep learning. Hope my voice is audible. And my slides are also visible. Is my voice audible?
Audible, madam.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. So this is the last session of our FDP program, that is recent advances and real-time applications in artificial intelligence. I'll take the session on research areas in machine learning and deep learning. So I'll start my session. So till now you have seen what is artificial intelligence and what is machine learning, concepts of deep learning, and how are we going to use it in that is how are we using Keras and TensorFlows in Python and different packages also, and how do we prepare our data, and then how do we go with the classification, supervised, unsupervised, and we have seen deep learning concepts, TensorFlow and Python installation, and TensorFlow and Keras library installations, and we have seen how are we going with the image and the face recognition. And we have seen in the morning how are we going to have heuristic methods for classification in a rule mining. Today I will be taking the last session, that is basically what are the research areas in machine learning and deep learning, and I'll be going with these contents. What are the types of real world data we have, and what are the benefits and tools we are using for machine learning? What are the different applications in machine learning? And what is the performance of a deep learning over machine learning concepts? What are the different applications, and what are the advantages we have in a deep learning? And we'll go with ending up with challenges, what can be the challenges and the research directions in machine learning and the deep learning concepts. So I'll start my session. This is how we have gone in the initial stage with a machine learning concept, where we have seen a machine learning is a learning. You are making your machine to behave like an intelligent system, where it can use a data and then predict. It becomes a model and it starts predicting the data. So initially we have a machine learning where we are going with the data. So these are the data. We have a raw data, we have a labels for the data. Now with this data we are going to have, with the raw data we are going to perform feature extraction. We are scaling up our data, we are selecting some of the features, and you can select the features, whatever the features you want a machine to predict those features, and we are reducing the dimensionality also. We are using some matrix decomposition methods or any such methodologies will be used in a dimensionality reductions, and we are using sampling also. These are all being performed on a raw data for a pre-processing. Now this data, whatever the data we have done, all these methods, we are going to make your machine train up Now, whatever the data we have taken, we are going to divide your data set into 80-20. That is 80% of a data can be used for a training, 20% of a data can be used for testing, and you can go with the ratio of it, and then the data set is being trained. The trained data set is being given to the learning, that is your machine learning, where the different algorithms are being used for a machine to learn. You have a supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement, different types of learnings. So where a machine will learn and it becomes a model. So this is how we have our model. So this is a model selections. We are going with a cross validation. We are using some performance metrics over here, and we have a hyperparameter optimization, and then a final model is being built. This is a model which has been built after your machine learns from different algorithms, whatever the labels it has undergone with this data. So final model is being built. This model is used for evaluation, and you are making your test data to use on this final model, and then you are going to have a prediction. You have a prediction over here, which has been predicting on a new data on whatever the labels a data is having. So this is what a simple in structure, what an intelligent machine is doing with the machine learning algorithms. A smart, it is performing application from the pre-processing, learning, evaluation, and prediction. So this is how we are having a machine learning, which we have seen in the beginning of our FDP program. Now, what are the, as I was telling you, you have a raw data over here. So what are the different types of real world data you have? We have categorized over here. The data can be a structured one, unstructured, semi-structured, and metadata. So these are the categories that's been defined for real world data. As the name itself is telling you, the structure means a well-defined format of a data where you have the data in the form of a row and a column over here, which is highly organized, where you can see the data in the form of a row and a column in Excel form, or you have a relational databases. All those data are highly organized, and it is being having some format and a structure. So those data can also be given for a machine learning, which can be called as a structured data. And the data which is not in a specific format, that is whatever the rows and whatever the structure you have seen in this case, those format is not been available, then it is the data which is called as unstructured data. This unstructured data is very difficult for a machine learning to predict, because it is not in its well form. So where do we get this type of data, that is unstructured data? This data is basically captured from the website in the form of a text document, or the images, or the objects, or you can see videos, or any such type of data which is being streaming up. So these contain the data which is being in an unstructured, can be a streamed data, can be in the form of a text or a multimedia material. Okay? So this is called as a data which can be an unstructured. Those data can also be given as data for a pre-processing, for training and testing. And you also have the third type of real world data, that is semi-structured. Semi-structured data, as the name itself is telling you, it will be majorly not structured, majorly structured actually. Majorly it might be in the form of a relational database, just like a structured data, whatever we have seen in the first case, in the form of a row and a column. Right? So semi-structured data are not stored in a relational database like a structured database, but it is basically following the concepts of row and of column. So metadata is another fourth type of real world data, where it contains, it is not a normal form of a data. Basically, it is about the information about a data, that is, you can see over here, it is a data about a data. So these type of data can be given as a pre-processing in a machine learning, where you can see different formats of a data. Now this slide is showing how researchers can use the data set for different purposes. You have different applications related to machine learning, where you want to use a cyber security data, or you want to use a smartphone data sets, or you want to use an IoT data. So these are the collections we can see where many of the research papers are using these data sets for a machine learning, for a cyber security, for analyzing the cyber security, and then data sets which are available for a cyber security. You can see NSL KDD. This is one where you can go with a Google of this KDD data set, and you can use UNSW. This is another a network data set. You can use this data set if you are using a cyber security. If you want to do a research in a cyber using this cyber security data set, these are the ones which are basically available, and you can use this link, whatever the link I have shared in the slide, that is ISCX. This is a link, a data set which is being giving the information. The next link you can see in the slide. This CICDDD is one of the research paper he has used. The researcher have used this data set for analyzing the cyber security attacks and all those ones. And you can use an IoT data set also. This is IoT come cyber security data set, that is BOT. The next one, you have also the second type of data sets where researchers have used a smartphone, where you can see the I have given the author description also, where you can see a transaction, that is ACM transaction, where this researcher have used a phone call logs as a data set for a smartphone data sets, for a machine learning, and then for an SMS logs, for a mobile application usage logs, and mobile phone notification logs also. You have the third type of data set, that is IoT, where Internet of Things. If you want to analyze such type of data and then use for a machine learning, you can go with an IoT data also. So these were the commonly papers the researchers have used these type of data set. So coming to the one, as you have seen from the beginning of the sessions, you have different types of machine learning. That is, basically we were categorizing what is supervised learning, what is unsupervised learning, and then reinforcement learning. But coming to this research issues, you have categorized into four different types of learnings. That is supervised, unsupervised, and then semi-supervised, and then reinforcement learning, where semi-supervised learning is using variables which are the values which are in the form of a discrete or a continuous. The target variables can be a discrete, that is a 0 or a 1. You can also have a continuous target variables. Whereas coming to the unsupervised learning, we have an unlabeled data, as you have seen, where supervised learning is having with a labeled data set, and unsupervised learning with the unlabeled data. And then we had a third type of learning, that is semi-supervised learning, where the learning is a combination of both the learning methods, that is supervised and unsupervised, where we are going with a labeled and unlabeled. And then we had a reinforcement learning, where this reinforcement learning is learning from the past experiences, where you had the experience will be having either in the term of a penalty or a reward. So penalty is saying as a negative, reward is going with a positive. So this is a different diagrammatical representation of different learning methods. And then we had, whenever we go with a discrete as a target variable, we call it as a classification. Again, we have a classification as binary and multi-class, as we are aware. And then when the target variable is continuous, we go with the regression methods. And then we go with an unlabeled data. Again, we have two types of learnings in an unlabeled data, that is clustering and association. We are grouping the data which is similar, unsimilar into another group, right? So we have seen all these ones in the sessions. And then we have an association as another type of unsupervised learning, where market basket analysis and all those ones, we have seen the algorithms which are related for the association. The next one you have As I was telling you, the researchers were using mostly the semi-supervised learning, where it is a combination of a labeled data and as well as it's an unlabeled data. So we have both the methods over here, a classification as one of the method and the clustering as the another method for a semi-supervised learning. So this is basically a pictorial representation of different types of classifications, different types of machine learning methods. Now, all these ones which we have seen in the previous diagrammatic representation, these are being put it in a slide. Supervised, it's an algorithm. It builds a model which will be learning from the label data. And we have seen the classification as regression as the two different methods. Unsupervised learning, it's an algorithms. All the algorithms will be based on a model, building a model where the model will be learning from the unlabeled data. So it is a data-driven approach. Your supervised learning is a task-driven approach. So the examples you have seen in the previous slide, that is clustering and association, and also you have a dimensionality reduction as one of an example, the algorithms which are used in an unsupervised learning. The next one you have is a semi-supervised, where you are building a model where the model will be learning from both the type of data. That is, it's a combination. It can be a label as well as unlabeled data. And the examples or the algorithms it's being based on classification and clustering. The next one you have is a reinforcement, where the models are basically based on building a model from based on two things. That is, from the past experience, whether you are going to go with a reward and or a penalty. Basically, this reinforcement algorithms type of learning is environment driven approach. It's based on the environment. So the examples you can go with is that reinforcement can have a classification as well as control as two methods for the reinforcement type of learning. This again, all the applications are put down on the different types of machine learning. Where are we using basically? That is, we have seen in the previous slide, supervised learning, unsupervised, and then reinforcement learning. We have gone with the classification as one of the method and then regression as the second method. So you have seen over here fraud detection, email spam detection, and diagnostics and image classifications. All these are the different applications in a classification. Regression, where we are using the regression is in assessing the risk and you are predicting your score. In unsupervised learning, these are the applications. You are going with the text mining, face recognition, big data visualization, image recognition. These are all the applications, real-time applications. On unsupervised learning, when we are going with a dimensionality reduction. You are going with a dimensionality reduction as one of the method. If you have used a clustering, you are using a clustering for a biology, city planning, and targeted marketing. So these are the different applications for a clustering, a real-time applications. The next one you have is a reinforcement learning. So the real-time applications for a reinforcement learning, basically it will be learning from the environment. You can see the chessboard game when you are playing in a system. So gaming applications or a finance sector or manufacturing, inventory management, and robot navigation. These are all the real-time applications on a reinforcement learning. So this is a graph which you can see a researcher have used to make his score available on different types of machine learning. That is machine learning which has been ranging from 0 to 100, where he has used the different types of learning methods, that is supervised, unsupervised, and then semi-supervised, and then semi-supervised, and then reinforcement. So the range is from 0 to 100, where you have x-axis and y-axis. X is representing your timestamp information. The timestamp is been from 2015 to 2020, and your y-axis is representing the corresponding score. So this is a popularity score of your worldwide popularity score of all the different types of ML algorithms that were being used from 2015 to 2020. You can see You can see in a graph, the mostly used is yes, any participant can answer. Uh, Yes, you can see from the graph, you have been majorly used is a reinforcement methods, a learning method that is being used in your machine learning. So where very rarely we are using semi-supervised over here. It's a combination of supervised and unsupervised. And most commonly, if you can see the graph over here, there is a cutting edge between supervised and unsupervised over here. But mostly we are going with the same range with the supervised and unsupervised. But reinforcement has made its margin at a high level than supervised and unsupervised. So you can have a quick look on this graph basically. So this is what recent research has been going on, which is been basically using a reinforcement learning method only. So coming to the one, what can be the benefits of a machine learning? What do we have advantages? You can see you are making your decisions very faster in machine learning, where the outcomes are being the best one. You are making your decision very fast, and then adaptability. This is how this is the capability of a machine learning, where a new environment is changing and the data is being changing. You are able to predict the output, right? So that is how we have the advantage, that is adaptability. Innovation, yes, very we have algorithms, we can write different algorithms, we can make advancements to the new to the old algorithms and improve the performance of the existing one with the new one, and we can have the benefits of making a decision making. So you have a developing of innovative business services. You want to make a model which can have a better performance and which have a capability of making a good decisions. Then you can go with advancements in the algorithms. You will have an insight. Insight is basically understanding the unique data patterns, and you are making some actions on that. So you can have a data patterns understandable, and then you can go with the specific actions on that. You can improve your business as well, as that is the growth in the business. When you have increased the performance of your algorithm, made some advancements over there, then the process will be very fast for you to grow your business. So definitely your business growth will increase actually. So this is how we are contributing to the business growth by making our machine learning algorithms in an efficient way. And the outcome of it, if you are following all the benefits, definitely you will have a good outcome. The quality of your algorithms will again have a better quality, and the outcome will be increased, improved with a less number of errors. So these are the basically the benefits. So what are the basically the branches of a machine learning? You have a computational learning theory as one of the branch. You have an adversarial machine learning, and then you have a quantum machine learning, and you have a robot learning, meta learning. So these are the different branches where we are using machine learning basically. So you can go with any type of learning and then have an improvement of all these ones. You can go with the search of these papers on the different learning methods. So what can be the tools which we are using? Basically, we have seen we have used Python as software for implementing your machine learning, and you also have different software development kits, that is AI1, which is a tool which will be providing some a kit, software development kit, where you can implement your artificial intelligence. This is one of an application. Many researchers research papers are using AI1. You can use Proteig. This is also a open source framework, a free framework, where you're building some intelligent systems using the concept of ontology, where you are creating and developing, and you are uploading your applications also. So you can see a number of papers using a Proteik, and you have an IBM Watson. This is also an open source. You have this is a natural language NLP application, whenever you have an NLP, natural language processing application, you can use this IBM Watson, where it is basically used by many developers. If you want to use it in a business, you have a DiffBlue. This is an artificial intelligence tool. The object of this tool is to locate the bugs and fix the errors, right? So this is DiffBlue, an application. Likewise, you have seen a TensorFlow also, where you want to recognize the images and the objects. So this is a open source software library in a machine learning, where you can have a very n number of applications. You can use computations for recognizing your image, classifying your image. So the best machine learning tools, preceding with the previous slide, after TensorFlow, you have an Amazon Web Services. Amazon has launched the toolkits for developing different applications. The range, these applications are basically used for a facial recognition. You have OpenNN also. This is also an open source tool over here. The performance of it is basically you are this source is been written in a C++ programming language. You can use the code to be written in you can write it in a C++. Basically, this is used to implement neural network, as the name itself is telling you. OpenNN, it's a neural network where network has been built connecting all the neurons. This is an advanced tool. It is also called as a neural designer. You have an Apache Spark. This is a framework for large, if you have a large volumes of data that is in the huge volumes, you can use this Apache Spark, a framework for a large scale processing of a data, where you are using this tool as a programming tool for a deep learning concepts. For a deep learning, you can use this Apache Spark. You also have a CAF as a framework for deep learning, where you are using these applications, whatever the applications, for example, in the speech recognition or in a vision or an expression. If you want to use these areas, that is speech, vision, and expression, you want to build some applications, you can use the CAF as a framework. You also have Willis. This is a platform which is basically written in a C++ language. You can use a Python language also for interaction. Basically, this Willis is used for a deep learning. If you have the application to be built in the form of, basically we use a deep learning for image recognition or face recognitions. Such type of application, you can go with a Willis, where you can build a neural network. The network input layer and a hidden layer and an output layer, and you want to have an interaction between all the layers. So this is Willis. So till now we have seen all the tools over here, and where are we using these machine learning? What are the applications? These are the services, cognitive services, medical services, language processing, business management, and image recognition. As you have seen, you have to go with the image recognition and then face recognition, going with the video games and computer vision and pattern recognition. So all these ones are the ones which we have seen in the previous sessions, but there are many other applications also in a machine learning, where you are going with the predictive analysis and intelligent decision making. You are going with the cybersecurity and threat intelligence, and then predictive analytics and intelligent decision making is one of an application where it is a decision making by a data driven predictive analysis. Many of the papers have been projecting this predictive analysis, and they are going with the intelligent decision making. You can see n number of papers, and these applications are basically used for retailers in better understanding consumer preferences and the behavior. It also manages and it also avoids the out of stock situations, and then optimizing the logistics and warehouse in e-commerce. So all these ones are being used in a predictive analysis. You also have the second type of application, cybersecurity and threat intelligence, which is the most important essential areas of industry, where there is a practice of protecting the networks, systems, hardware, and data from digital attacks. So you can have I mean, there are n number of papers on this research issues on a machine learning using a cyber security and a threat intelligence also, where you are analyzing the data to identify patterns, better detect malware in encrypted traffic, and you are finding a people, you are keeping your people safe while browsing, and keeping your data secure in a cloud by uncovering your suspicious activity. So all these ones are your, I mean, one of the applications. You also have a Internet of Things and smart cities, where this is also an essential area of industry nowadays, which is turning everyday objects into a smart objects, where you are allowing them to transmit data and automate your task without the need of your human interaction. So this has become very important for governance, smart governance, and then smart agriculture, your healthcare, and as well as your business, and many more actually. So smart city is one of the IoT core fields of your applications. So we are using this applications of your machine learning in your IoT and the smart cities. We are also having this application. I mean, we are also having in a traffic prediction and transportation, where the transportation have become a crucial component of your country's economic development. So we are having more experiences on excessive rise in the traffic volume, and resulting in a serious issues such as delays, and then traffic congestion, higher fuel prices, increased pollution, and many accidents, and then emergencies, which are declining our modern society and the quality of our life. So we are using all these ones, the applications of a machine learning in these areas also. And also we have in a healthcare and COVID-19 prediction, as we are very much been keen on our health system nowadays. So machine learning is able to solve those diagnostic and then diagnostic problems in a variety of medical domains, such as disease prediction, medical knowledge, and then extraction of what a patient is having, and detecting the data and managing the patients. And coronavirus, the disease is very infectious disease caused by a new variants nowadays. We are have a close to the second pandemic, and then we have a fear of a third pandemic ahead also, where the variant is increasing. So all these ones have made machine learning to diagnose such type of problems. So we are using in a healthcare and a COVID-19, and then we have also the application on e-commerce and product recommendations, where product recommendation is one of the most well-known and widely applications in a machine learning, and it is having some prominent features. That is e-commerce website today, where machine learning technology can assist a businesses in analyzing their consumers' purchasing histories, and then making customized product suggestions for the next purchase. So all these behaviors are being used by your e-commerce companies. And also we have an NLP and sentiment analysis, where natural language processing is involved in reading and understanding of speaking and writing languages through a media. So NLP will be helping the computers to read a text, hear a speech, interpret it, analyze it, and decide it. What aspects are being significant, where machine learning techniques can be used. So all these ones are used where you need a personal assistant, or a chatbot, or a speech recognition, or a document description, or a language, or a language translations. So these are all the examples of your NLP related tasks, where you can use a sentiment analysis also, which is a subfield of NLP. So all these ones are being considered as a machine learning task that analyzes the text for polarity, such as positive, negative, or neutral. So these are all the emotions, like a very happy, or a happy, or a sad, very sad, angry, have an interest or not have an interest, etc. So these are all the ones an analysis is been done by your machine learning applications. You have an image and speech and pattern recognition. So all these ones are the common ones we can have seen in the previous case, where you are recognizing the images, we are recognizing your speech, translating the speech, you are recognizing the pattern. And then the next applications you have is a sustainable agriculture, where it is very important survival for all the human activities, where you are improving your agriculture production and you are reducing the negative impacts on the environment. So this is very important concept, where you are encouraging your farmers to enhance their decisions to adopt a good agriculture practice, utilizing utilizing and increasing the amount of data. So you can capture the data and then use those data for prediction of crop and the soil, the properties and the irrigation requirements which are being used nowadays, right? So we are predicting your weather, you are predicting the disease, the soil nutrition also, and the livestock management. All these comes under sustainable agriculture. The next one you have is a user behavior analytics, and then you have a context aware smartphone applications. This is the application where you are capturing the knowledge and about its surroundings, and at any moment you are modifying the behavior accordingly. So this context aware computing is using a software and a hardware, and it is collecting the data and it is interpreting and giving the responses for that. So these are the approaches which we are using. Clustering as one of the approach you can use for capturing the user behavior, and you are predicting the future events in the next context, and then you are classifying. So these machine learning tasks are basically used for different types of applications. Coming to the one, previously we have seen all the applications of machine learning. Now we'll have concepts on a deep learning, the applications on a deep learning, where a deep learning is using some samples or an example sample of a data set, and it is calculating the error for this network, and it is improving the weight. So these are all the steps of a deep neural networks, where error is calculated, and then we are improving the error, that is improving the weight, and then with the improvement in the weight in the network we are reducing the error, and the procedure is repeated till we get your actual output as your predicted output. So this is a procedure, basically a procedure for the neural networks. And then we have a slide where we are basically what can be the performance of a deep learning over a machine learning. You can see the performance, the amount of data you give it for a machine learning, and the performance of the two, that is machine learning and a deep learning. You can see over here there is a slide decrease in the graph for a machine learning if the amount of data is increasing. The performance is slowly coming down. So whereas in a deep learning, if you feed for a deep learning the data, that is amount of data, if it is increasing, the performance is also gradually increasing. You can see over here there is an increase for a performance of a deep learning over a machine learning. So this is how we are using nowadays a deep learning concepts. Because the data is increasing, we need to have a better performance. So there is a drawback with the machine learning, because if the data is increasing, your machine learning is incapable to hold that data and then build a model and then predict the analysis, predict your output. Whereas in a deep learning, you can give the large volumes of data, and you can also increase the performance, that is retraining your network back with the error, and then get your actual and predicted output as a equal. Now, what are the different types of deep learning methods we have? We have multi-layer perceptron. Perceptron is a neuron which is learning which is learning with the environment it is having. So neuron, you can have a multi-layer perceptron, that is, it is also called as a feed-forward artificial neural network. And the second type in deep learning method is a CNN, which we have seen in the previous cases, previous sessions, that is ConNet. CNN is a network which is used for image and face recognition. The next type of deep learning method is a long short-term memory, that is LSTM. It is also called as a recurrent neural network. So it is an artificial neural network. So these are the three types of deep learning methods we have, and we have seen the different activation functions also. And in this session, we have seen till convolution neural network. I mean, in this FDP program. And then what can be the applications of a deep learning? Your deep learning is used in automatic speech recognition. It is used in image recognition. It is used in natural language processing, toxicology, customer relationship management, bioinformatics, mobile advertising. So these are the applications which you have seen uh, in nowadays. Nowadays, these are the many researchers, and you have many papers which are been using these type of applications, and you have lots of data. Also, you have seen from the program a link for the data sets also. You can use those data sets for this type of applications. So what are the advantages of a deep learning in a real world? So these are the basically advantages. You are reducing the unnecessary cost. Deep learning is helping us to eliminate the unnecessary cost, that is detecting the defects and the errors. So whenever the errors are being found, you are retraining the network back and reducing the error. So this is how we are reducing the cost of a system. And then it is identifying the defects, which is otherwise it's very difficult to detect. So in a machine learning, it is very difficult to, we are getting an error over here, but retraining the network, and then the constructing the features are not been possible in a machine learning. But whereas in a deep learning, you are basically identifying the defects which are untraceable, right? Where in a machine learning, you can't have those things. And then whereas the deep learning is taking over the performance of the network, and then it is tracing the leftover untraceable errors which are there in the system. And it is also useful, the main advantage of a deep learning, it is inspecting irregular shapes and patterns. So deep learning is having, deep learning can have irregular shapes and patterns, which is very difficult for a machine learning to detect. So machine learning cannot detect the irregularities in the shapes and patterns, where a deep learning can go with that. And there are many challenges and research directions you can see in a deep learning and a machine learning and deep learning, where the current age of your fourth industrial revolution, which is called nowadays, we are calling the current age as 4IR, that is fourth industrial revolution, where machine learning has gained its popularity in many areas and many applications, because it has a capability of learning from the past and making intelligent decisions. So it is having an effectiveness, and it is also efficient enough, where the solutions are being built, where you are making your characteristics of your data, and you are making your learning algorithm having a better performance. So what are we doing? The research challenges is basically we are collecting a useful data, and then we are building our machine learning applications. For example, a smart city application, and the management of the smart city, and you are analyzing the data also. So more in depth, there is an investigation of data collection which is needed while working on a real world data. So this is one of the challenge you can see. You need to have more investigation on a data collection methods. The collection methods should be increased, where this is the necessity and the challenge of our machine learning algorithms to have a good performance. And the next thing is you need to accurately clean and pre-process the diverse data, whatever the data you have collected. So collection of data is also a challenging one, and pre-processing that data is also a challenging factor. You can say a task for a machine learning, uh, to, for a machine learning. So the next one is the challenge is you are effectively modifying and then you are using some pre-processing methods which are existing nowadays. And you are proposing, you can also propose a new methods. You are using either a previous, the existing methods, or you can propose a new methods over here. This is also one of the challenging tasks in machine learning, where pre-processing techniques can be proposed and where the learning algorithms will be fulfilling our model. I mean, to make it as a model. Right? So the next one is you are selecting the challenge over here is you are selecting a proper learning algorithm that is suitable for the target application is also challenging. Okay, so the learning algorithm, the creation of a data and then cleaning, that is pre-processing the data and then choosing the proper algorithm is also a challenging in a machine learning. So this is basically the challenges for a machine learning, and you are building a model, and the models are basically whatever the model you are building, the technique you are using, it should able to solve your real world issues. That is challenging or the direction you can use in a machine learning. What type of diverse domains you have, that is what type of domain you are choosing and what type of issues you are solving for a real world, such as cyber security. You can use it in a cyber security or in a smart cities or in a healthcare system. So which domain you are using, such that your model will be basically helpful to solve those issues, whatever the issues or whatever the problems we are having. So if you have gone with the things, the methodology, and you have built a model, if this model is not giving a proper direction, you can go with a hybrid learning model also. As we have a session in the previous days, that is yesterday, or we had a hybrid learning model also, where it is a combination of existing as well as a new method, new methodology you are using for the existing model learning method, right? So that is your ensemble of methods. That is you're modifying or you are using some enhancements. You are changing some methodologies for the existing learning techniques, and you are designing a new learning method. So whatever the design you have made, you are calling it as a new design you have made, new learning method you have made. You are calling it as a hybrid learning model, where this model can be the perfect one or can be a potential one to solve your problems or the future, uh, whatever the future or the task we are going to solve. Okay? So the ultimate success of a machine learning based model is basically it is basically depending on the two things, that is the data you take and the learning algorithms. Whatever the data you have collected, you have pre-processed, and the algorithm you are using on that data, that is the learning algorithms. And effectively you are processing the data and you are handling the diverse learning algorithms are also very important. So how effectively it is making a solution and how effectively we are building an intelligent application. So this corresponds to the challenging issues where you can concentrate and build a good model to have a intelligent application. So with this one, I stop my presentation. With this, so you can use many research directions are there. You can go this, take it as a challenging factors, and then build a machine learning model. So with this one, I'll stop my session. If you have any queries and if you have any thing, you can go. You can ask me the question. So if you don't have, we can stop the session. We can take a lunch break. so that we can meet at 2 o'clock and then have a test, and then we can go with the feedback and valedictory. So shall we stop the things? Okay, we'll take a break now and we'll meet at 2 p.m. That is after the lunch break, and we'll have a test and a feedback and validity. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Participants, do we have any queries? Thank you so very much, Tanvi ma'am, for giving a very good insight on various research perspectives and also covering the applications and the need that we all can be benefited from. Thank you so much for your wonderful session and information. Thank you. Uh, Dear participants, we will be breaking for lunch now, and the session resumes at about 2:15. Please join this particular link. The examination link will be shared in the meeting. So it is necessary for all of you all to join into the meeting in order to be able to write the examination, and followed by the valedictory session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.